Well, Jujutsu's on break this week, so you know what that means. I actually have to be creative and think of a video idea for this Friday. Fortunately, I already have one that I've been keeping on the back burner, thinking about doing for a while. As we know, as was established extremely early on in the series, Yuji is pretty much guaranteed to die. As soon as he consumed Sukuna's finger, his death sentence was certain. However, we've been kind of wondering how he's going to reach that point. Is he really going to be executed because Gojo stepped in the way of that? Gojo's presumably going to get out of the prison realm at some point. Is Yuji going to die? If so, how? And how depressing is it going to be? Today, I am going to be going over what I consider to be the 3 most likely endings for our main man, Yuji Itadori. But as always, before I get into that, if you haven't already, you should definitely be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads, and help us reach our goal for 2022 of hitting 5,000 subscribers. Also, I'd like to try and hit 100 likes on this video, if you don't mind. Now then, let's actually get into the discussion. It has been made abundantly clear multiple times now that as long as Sukuna remains within Yuji's body, there is always the chance that he could take over and cause a lot of death and destruction. The first time was when he took over during the Curse Womb arc and nearly killed Megumi. And really only didn't because Sukuna's takeover did not last long enough and he ended up dying before he could kill Megumi. The second time, of course, was in Shibuya, and, well, like 1,000 people died because of that, and Sukuna did not even have his full power yet. That is, assuming his power is equally divided into all of his fingers, 75% power Sukuna. So, what happens when he gets all 20 fingers? There's, it's established that as long as Yuji takes in the fingers one by one, Sukuna won't take over, but if he consumes all 5 at once, there is the possibility that Sukuna may take over again, and we know that Sukuna has his special magic word for taking over Yuji's body, albeit he cannot harm anyone. However, considering that Sukuna already has plans for escaping Yuji's body, there's always the possibility that he could find some way to take over entirely. We don't know if he's really going to fully escape Yuji's body. I think that he will, or if he's just going to take it over entirely and lock Yuji out. If that does happen, well, it'll be really bad, because I imagine the next time Sukuna comes out in full, it'll be when he has his full power, and there's really only, 2 people that can handle that, Yuta and Gojo. From a narrative perspective, I imagine Megumi is going to have something to do with the ultimate defeat of Sukuna, hopefully. So, if Sukuna breaks out again, which will likely be endgame of the series, I do see the possibility that Kenjaku dies, but Sukuna is freed, which ends up being his either ultimate end goal, or, and it's probably not his ultimate end goal, or a failsafe, like a dead man's switch. Oh, my plan can't come to fruition? Well then, I'm just going to unleash Sukuna upon the world, because fuck you. A shit ton of people are going to die. There will probably be many named characters who die, and realistically, the only characters that I can see really stopping Sukuna at that point would be Gojo, Yuta, and probably Megumi based on his immense potential, and Sukuna's direct interest in him. If Sukuna has taken over Yuji's body to accomplish this, what's going to happen is they're going to have to kill Yuji, because that's the only way that Sukuna can be destroyed permanently. After Yuji's taken in all of his fingers, he will be killed by someone. That was the plan all along. If things go this route, that plan comes to fruition. One of those 3, most likely the one that deals the killing blow, is either Gojo or Megumi, due to their close connection with Yuji. It will be extremely depressing if that happens. Next in line is an ending that I find to be much more plausible, probably the most plausible ending. In the Shibuya incident, we find out from his interaction with Urayume that Sukuna plans to escape Yuji's body. He has some method of doing that. Probably has something to do with Megumi and the Ten Shadows technique. We know that Ten Shadows seems to have some whole shadow dimension inside of it. Some people have theorized that he will use Megumi to get back his original physical body, and he'll be freed from Yuji. So Yuji no longer has to die in order for us to kill Sukuna. Pretty convenient. There is the possibility that this leaves Yuji being entirely powerless, and as such wouldn't really play a role in the final battle. Alternatively, Sukuna is freed from Yuji, but Yuji still retains his cursed energy, at least for a time, and then he plays some kind of role in defeating Sukuna. I could also see the possibility of having some kind of internal battle inside Sukuna's inner domain, some kind of callback to all the way back when they originally tried to fight and Yuji got instantly murdered. Listen, if Yuji has some kind of interior battle against Sukuna, that has actual peak fiction potential. I'm not gonna lie, that could be genuinely fucking amazing if that happens, and would give Yuji a far more believable personal victory over Sukuna than him having an actual physical battle with him, because, let's be real here, Yuji's strong, but he's not top of the verse strong. That battle is more for people like Gojo and Yuta. So I think that's certainly a possibility, and that would mean that by the end of the series, Yuji is quite possibly left powerless, but alive, no longer needing to be executed, and even though he's no longer able to be a Jujutsu sorcerer, depending on if that's still a thing by the end of the series, because, you know, Yuki's plan and whatnot, we could end up getting a fairly happy ending for Yuji, where he can't really help people the same way anymore, but he has all of his friends and the people that he cares about surrounding him, and he's still able to do good in his own way, even if it's not through super magical shonen powers. This last possible ending is one that I have been repping for a while. It's one that I've been suggesting as a very likely possibility, and the one that I would like to see the most. I think it would probably be the best from a thematic standpoint. And this one actually isn't necessarily separate from the previous one. You can have Yuji becoming free from Sukuna and still have this ending. However, we could still reach this point if Sukuna is not exorcised from Yuji. He's still within him, but Yuji has subjugated him, contained him within himself. Him taking over Yuji's body and causing mayhem is no longer a concern. And this ending is pretty much going full circle from Chapter 1, a direct callback. In Chapter 1, Yuji's grandfather is dying, and he tells him, you should help people whenever you can, so that when your time comes for you to die, you're not alone like me. You should find people to help and care about, and who will care about you, so that you have plenty of people surrounding you when your time comes. We've seen throughout the entirety of the series, Yuji has been helping a lot of people out, and he's been making a lot of friends. A lot of different types of friends with a lot of different people. And I think doing a callback to that with essentially having an epilogue ending would be very good. Most shonen epilogue endings are like 10 years later or something, showing the main characters when they're like in their 20s or 30s, them having like kids, careers, shows who gets paired up with who. But I think this, which is instead doing a far time skip to when Yuji is old and dying, would be, first off, kind of unique, because we really don't get those that often. I'm not really aware of any. Again, I haven't read a ton of series, so there may be some that I'm just not aware of. But that would first off be very unique, and showing Yuji essentially in the same position that his grandfather was in before he passed away, but having the context of all of these other people that he met and helped throughout his life surrounding him when his time comes, would be very poetic, very bittersweet, and, in my opinion, is probably the best possible ending for the series and for Yuji's character, sort of the arc that he's been going on throughout the series. I think having a full circle ending like this would ultimately be the best outcome for both Yuji and the series. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments what you think will end up happening with Yuji, what you want to happen. I'm interested in hearing what you guys think. But with that, that's all I've got to say for today's video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Jujutsu Kaisen chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a new chapter. And when we have break weeks like this week, I tend to do videos somewhat similar to this one. If you enjoyed discussing Jujutsu Kaisen with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have linked to that down in the description, and since it's the end of the video, I might as well give a shout out to my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Archbear CJ2K, Neo, Dijon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, K-God, Chris Redfield, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Mac Campaign, Wave of Manga, Chuck Seed, Jake Sterizi, Play Free Labs, Kenichi Kaneda, and Strawbones. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at some point during videos, or access to reviews for One Piece and The Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.